Welcome back to the deep dive. You know those really complex long-term challenges we all face? The ones that just seem to come with this overwhelming amount of information, makes them feel almost impossible to get a handle on. Think about something huge like achieving carbon neutrality. It can feel like you're trying to map out a path up some vast, uncharted mountain. Well, today we're going to dig into how AI is actually stepping in to make task planning for these, well, seemingly insurmountable goals much, much more manageable. Our source for this is pretty interesting. It's a YouTube video, podcast Dennis R. Warrior, shared by Yoda-san of Synergy Research Institute on the Fusion AI channel. So our mission today is basically to explore this video together, pull out those key nuggets about how AI can help you navigate these huge tasks, and hopefully, leave you feeling better informed and maybe a bit more equipped.
And that's really the core of it, isn't it? AI is moving beyond just simple automation. It's becoming like a partner, really, for breaking down immense complexity and helping turn these abstract long-term goals into actual actionable steps.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And this solution the video talks about, GenTASK, it seems to really capture this shift. They describe it as combining generative AI's, vast knowledge base with a company's own unique internal know-how. What is it about this fusion idea that makes it different? Why is that so effective for these big challenges?
Well, what's really fascinating here is that this fusion, it's not just some technical detail, it's actually the bridge that makes AI genuinely actionable for these complex internal problems. See, generic AI tools, they can give you broad advice, sure, but they don't understand the intricate details of your company's specific operations, right? Your unique equipment, the unwritten rules, that sort of tacit knowledge we talk about. So by blending AI's huge general knowledge with a company's deep internal expertise, GenTASK can create plans that aren't just intelligent, but highly practical, really relevant to that specific organization. It moves past the generic stuff into deeply tailored, actionable strategies.
Okay. Now, this deep dive really brings up a crucial distinction, something that might actually change how you think about tackling complex stuff. The video talks about two main types of task planning. First, there's project-based planning. So this is where you've got a really clear, defined goal, right? And you can basically reverse engineer all the steps to get there. Like the classic example is a rocket launch. You know the destination, so you can meticulously plan every single step backwards. Very defined, right? And then there's the other type. They call it challenge response planning. Maybe think of it like this. Project-based is like booking that direct flight. Everything's planned out. But challenge response, that's more like an epic road trip. You know where you ultimately want to end up, but you're constantly adjusting, right? Weather changes, roads close. Maybe you find some cool, unexpected landmark you just have to check out. It's fluid, isn't it?
It absolutely is, yeah, very fluid. And it's interesting because, on the surface, something like carbon neutrality, with its specific target dates, like achieved by 20XX, it might look like a classic project-based goal.
Yeah, you'd think so. Set a target, plan the steps back. Seems straightforward.
Exactly, kind of thing.
But then, the video reveals this really fascinating twist, clearly an aha moment for the creator.
Yeah.
What was it about carbon neutrality once they really looked into it that made them realize it wasn't quite that simple?
Well, it's because, as the video explains it, it's just not a simple top-down allocation of tasks from some master plan. It doesn't work like that in reality. Real-world carbon neutrality efforts, they depend heavily on current dynamic conditions. Like, you need to know precisely what equipment is being used right now, what the current emission levels actually are, and those things change. They're moving targets. And what's more, it's constantly being influenced by all sorts of external factors too. Things like the company's core philosophy, its budget, maybe new subsidies pop up, or even totally new technologies emerge. So this raises a pretty big question, right? How can these fixed long-term plans really cope, really adapt to such a dynamic, evolving environment?
Good point. Which brings us perfectly to GenTASK's specific AI assistants, because they seem meticulously designed to help with exactly this kind of fluid challenge response planning. Let's start with the environmental handbook assistant. What's its main job? How does it help people?
Right. This one's actually quite useful for just basic information checking, making sure everyone involved understands the foundational knowledge. So instead of manually digging through dense decarbonization handbooks, users can just ask the AI questions about the content, and they get instant relevant answers, quick verification.
Okay, simple but effective.
Okay.
Then there's the challenge generation assistant. Now this one struck me as pretty unique. Apparently, without needing you to feed it sensitive company data right away, the AI can generate sample challenge lists, Like you could ask for challenges relevant to general companies, or maybe get specific, like for auto parts manufacturers. It just kind of whips up a list for you. How does that help someone who's maybe just starting to think about this?
Oh, this is a fantastic benefit, actually. It really lowers the barrier to entry
Yeah.
significantly. It means you can sort of test the waters with the tool, get a feel for its capabilities, explore potential challenges in your sector,
Yeah.
all without having to immediately share confidential company info. It's kind of like having a brainstorming partner who already has some industry context.
I like that. Okay, and finally, the task generation assistant. This sounds like a real core of the planning process. So if you pick a specific challenge, the example was maintenance deficiency of pressing machine D, the AI doesn't just say fix the machine. What's really fascinating is the level of detail it goes into. It breaks it down into these granular subtasks, things like status investigation, parts list up, implementation of maintenance, even report creation. Really specific. And the practical side is impressive too. If you give it a start date, it apparently automatically puts these tasks with deadlines into project management tools like Redmine.
Yeah, and the practical value there is just immense. It's not just generating some list of things to do. The AI also sets up task dependencies. For instance, it knows the investigation has to happen before you can list the parts needed. This makes sure the plan reflects a realistic, actual, real-world project flow. Helps you avoid bottlenecks, ensures things happen in a logical order, and it does it right within the management tools people are already using.
Okay, so putting all these pieces together, what's the big takeaway here for our listeners trying to tackle these complex, shifting challenges?
Well, ultimately, GenTASK seems to provide this structured yet still flexible framework. It helps you address these dynamic goals like carbon neutrality, where the conditions and the requirements are just constantly shifting. It basically helps transform what feels overwhelming into something actionable, step by step.
And yeah, this feels like a huge deal, especially for small and medium enterprises, SMEs. They often don't have those big specialized departments just for, say, decarbonization planning. So for them, that initial hurdle of just where do I even begin can be enormous. GenTASK seems to help get past that, offering real support for creating those initial draft plans, gives them a solid starting point. Right. And there was one more observation from the video that really jumped out at me, this zero-shot capability. Now, for anyone not familiar, this basically means the AI can produce these concrete plans just by drawing on its vast general knowledge. It doesn't need tons of specific training on a company's detailed, often unformalized, that tacit knowledge we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and this has some really profound implications, actually. It suggests that the barrier to entry for using this kind of advanced AI planning, even for something as complex as decarbonization, is significantly lower. Just imagine smaller businesses, maybe without dedicated AI teams or years to spend formalizing all their unique internal know-how. They can still potentially leverage powerful AI for strategic planning. It sort of democratizes access to this level of expertise.
Wow, yeah, that sounds like a monumental efficiency gain right there.
Yeah.
If AI can leverage its general knowledge like that, it could drastically cut down the effort companies need just to get their internal knowledge ready for AI training.
It absolutely could, yeah. The potential for really significant efficiency gains in planning and execution across all sorts of industries. It's pretty clear, especially in areas that used to get bogged down just by the sheer volume of unique, unformalized information. So yeah, this deep dive, it really paints a concrete picture of how AI can support complex, dynamic planning. And it's not just about automation, is it? It truly feels like a new, potentially really powerful form of collaboration between humans and AI.
That's a great way to put it, collaboration. Okay, so lastly, there's one thing I'd love for you, our listener, to think about. If AI keeps getting deeper general knowledge about specific industries, specific challenges like we've talked about today, how do you think corporate planning itself will change in the coming years? And maybe even more importantly, what new skills will you and others need to develop to work effectively alongside this kind of evolving AI? And also, how might the value of a company's unique internal tacit knowledge, that special sauce, how might its value evolve as AI's general expertise grows? It's definitely an interesting thought experiment, isn't it? Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.